Friday edition of Wasatch Weekends. We hope you've had a great week and that you've stayed safe out there in all of the snow that we've been getting kind of hit with. It's amazing because it's going to make our ski season throughout the rest of spring so wonderful. Today is March 3rd. We've made it. We've made it to March. I can't believe we're already 3 days in. I'm your weekend host, Maddie Evans, and I love getting to spend every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday morning with you starting at 7 a.m. Now we've got a great show in store for you for the next little bit of Wasatch Weekends. We've got some fun things happening. We're going to introduce you to a wonderful competition show that's happening on MTV called Exhibit. Now you're not going to want to miss it because $100,000 is on the line for some of these competitors. Then over at Park City Film later tonight, there's a great showing that you're not going to want to miss, and especially if you love animals the way that I really love animals. So make sure that you stay tuned for our interview with Katie Wang. We're going to take a look at that weather forecast right now. That way you can prepare for the day and hopefully you get out and enjoy all of this wonderful new snow. Let's take a look at that weather right now.
This resort report is brought to you by Sun and Ski Sports, your new mountain sports headquarters.
Art and friendly competition? Well, then you're not going to want to miss MTV News series, The Exhibit, and we've got Damati and Melissa joining us. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us.
Thanks for having us.
So can you guys tell us about your roles really quickly on the show, just so people know, because you guys both have very extensive titles and you both have very impressive careers.
Oh, well, thank you for saying that. I'm a correspondent at MTV News, and I'm just the host. I'm there to learn about this art world. You know, I have a humble collection. I have a serious interest in art, but I get a chance to just lead us through this competition, navigate this competition at 7 artists over 6 weeks competing for $100,000 and an exhibit at the Hirshhorn Museum. And I follow my lead judge, Melissa Chu, as they have crit sessions determining which work of the week was the most compelling.
Now, Melissa, you have a very extensive art background, and so what's it like being on this competition?
So I'm director of the Hirshhorn Museum and Sculpture Garden, part of the Smithsonian Institution, and we are right on the National Mall. We are the National Museum of Modern Art, and so our real mission is to share the art and artists of our time. And so in this collaboration with MTV, we were so excited because we selected 7 artists from around the country, all making completely different work in different materials and media. And we then invited them to create works different themes each week. And we called those commissions. And so one of the tough roles was as lead judge, and I was joined by many other judges from around the country. We really looked to this idea of originality, kind of execution, how an artist kind of makes what materials they choose, how they make their idea into a work of art. And I think that's the really interesting thing about this moment in time. An artwork is more about the idea than even the medium or the material. And so that's really what the show tackles. It's like, how do we think about creativity today? In some ways, it offers us a behind the scenes look at how 7 artists create works. In a way, an artist creates an artwork out of nothing. And that, you know, we talk a lot about that as a courageous act, to put your idea out there into the world and then have other people talk about it. Like, that can be a hard, tough thing. But we tried really with the show for it to be both collegial and also build an artist community. These are 6 artists who stayed together, or 7 artists who stayed together for the 6 episodes and made work each week. And it was something that really shows you a glimpse of how art is made today.
Now, if you had to describe the show, both of you, in 3 words, what 3 words would you choose?
100,000.
And now, if people are interested in watching the show, where can they find it?
On MTV Friday nights, premieres March 3rd, Friday at 9 p.m., and on the Smithsonian Channel on Tuesday, March 7th at 9 p.m.
Thank you guys both so much for taking the time to chat with us, giving us all this great information, and thank you for the entertainment. This is such a great way to learn so much about the art, but also have that entertainment factor, and so it's going to be really cool to see this premiere.
Oh, can't wait for you to see it. Thank you for the time.
Make sure that you check out MTV and the Smithsonian. That way you can see these 7 diverse artists compete for $100,000 and the exhibit of a lifetime. This is going to be a great way to get involved in the arts and just see all of the action. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we've got more of the show, so stay tuned. Are you looking to get out there and do something fun this weekend? Maybe you want to be nice, cozy, and relax. Well, then Park City Film has got you covered, and we're here with Katie Wang, who's going to give us some more information on the great showing of EO this weekend. Thank you so much for being here, Katie.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, we're really excited as we head into the Academy Awards. We've got one more week to go. We're continuing on our journey of showing some of the nominees. So this is EO is the official submission from the country of Poland, and it's been nominated for Best International Film. Also, New York Times critic pick, just been stealing the hearts of audiences across the art house circuit. But it's a very beautiful but very unconventional film about a former circus donkey. His name is EO, based on the sound he makes. So if you think of like Eeyore, if you are a Winnie the Pooh fan, that's what his name is based on. But he takes a journey across Europe, Italy, Poland, beautiful landscapes. But it's this kind of unexpected hero's journey where he's tested and he's tempted, and of course he encounters all of this beauty but also a lot of pain. And it's just this beautiful metaphor for life, but also how important it is for us to pay attention to the lives and the livelihood and the safety of all of the creatures on Earth. So it is absurd, a little bit strange, a little bit terrifying, but just one of those magical films that we are excited to bring to the screen, and definitely one of the best pictures of the year, as the Academy notes, and perhaps the best international film of the year. We shall see.
Which I love these kinds of movies, except for my only hard part is you do see him go through all these trials and tribulations. I, 1, read your guys' fabulous description, and 2, watched the trailer just now, and I was like, I can do the scary movies and the like psychological thrillers where bad things are happening to people, but the moment an animal is involved, I'm like an emotional wreck.
Right. But that's what's so beautiful about this film, is that it's this, it's not infantilizing animals. It's not making into a cartoon. He doesn't talk. He is just in all of his donkey, animal nature himself. But you see the world through his eyes, and some of the cruelty that's in the world, certainly, as well as the beauty, comes across. And how does one understand that as a being, whether it's human or animal or otherwise? How do you interpret all that's around you, and what does that mean for kind of the world at large and for humanity, and how do we treat the other creatures that we inhabit this planet with? So yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those films where Mahola Dargis, one of the New York Times critics, she said, I was quietly weeping in the theater, surrounded by all of these other audience members. Like, that's what brings me to the movies, is that evoking of that emotion, that you can care about this donkey kind of in his journey across the world. And what does that mean to us? So it kind of makes you reflect on these deeper ideas.
All of the different aspects of the life that he gets to live too. It's really cool because they just show you those little teeny tidbits here and there throughout the trailer, and I was like, okay, so now I need a pet donkey, because he just he captivates you, and you immediately, I just am like, oh my gosh, he's like a dog here. They're doing so much with him, and they're taking him to be so loved, and then he finds himself in these kind of hard situations, and you can tell by the way they portray him, even in that minute-long trailer, that they do give him all of these human emotions that you are seeing and you are feeling with him, which I think is so cool. You guys do such a good job of bringing out people's emotions, bringing in these films that are going to spark these incredible conversations around things like the donkey, or you guys just like do such a good job of bringing the community together and kind of shedding light on something that maybe people don't think about all the time.
Absolutely. I mean, it's, and it's our pleasure, really. We're not the creators of these beautiful films, but we are the curators. So we are fortunate that there are so many great films that are provocative, right? They make you think about things in different ways, about the world and the life around you. So it is our pleasure to be able to bring them in. I do want to give a shout out to Bev and Ray Kent, who are patrons of ours who are underwriting the film this weekend, because as a nonprofit, we can't do all that we do without the support we receive from our community. So definitely underwriters are a key component of that, as well as audience members, right? If you love what we do, vote with your feet, grab a seat, get a ticket, and come see these fantastic films. And you can catch EO this weekend, Friday and Saturday at 7 or Sunday at 6. And of course, parkcityfilm.org if you want to check out that trailer that we've been talking about, or buy tickets, or just, show up at the door, do some powder skiing, roll on up. You can check out the film with us this weekend.
Okay, so now we just have to talk a little bit about why this film and why, because obviously the Academy Awards are coming and this is so internationally named and ranked right now throughout so many different places, but what specifically drew you to EO?
I think that there is, when I think about curating films for our community, certainly we always joke in the boardroom, as it were, that if we can ever show a film of people freezing on the side of a mountain, it'll bring out the whole community, we'll pack the house every time. So we're always looking for that spirit of adventure, for, people's sense of conquering perhaps the seemingly unconquerable, that indomitable spirit idea. But then also if there's animals, people tend to love animals, horses. So I think that connection to the natural world is really important to our community. So there's a great list of films that have been nominated by the Academy for Best International Film. We're actually just booking The Quiet Girl, which is a film from Ireland, which was also nominated, that we'll bring out back in a couple of weeks. But looking at the slate of films that are available, some we've already shown in the months coming, the months previous to now, and some are new to us. And so it's really just that kind of selection process of, we only have so much space, there are only so many weekends that we can fill. And so what of those that are available to us would be ones that we think that our community could come together around and spark those conversations and have that innate connection, right? People here love their animals. We call it, Bark City, because almost everyone has a dog, if not like 10, seemingly in their home. But people love animals. They love horses. They love the natural world. And just to be able to connect to the natural world in a different way through the eyes of EO the donkey, we thought would be quite compelling for our community, and just give them a different perspective on life that I think they'd really deeply appreciate. And of course, the cinematography and the storytelling, is exceptional as well. So all of those things kind of come together. We have a very discerning audience here in the home of the Sundance Film Festival. So we want to make sure that we're bringing something that is beautifully crafted, all of its elements as you look at it, not just the story, not just the characters, but the cinematography, the setting, all of those things come together to make this very beautiful package. So that's to me what I found compelling about EO as I was looking to curate films for this weekend.
Which I feel like you always do such a good job, because I'm captivated. I've been captivated by every single movie trailer that I've watched since we've been doing these interviews together. And so you guys do not disappoint in making sure that they are going to be kind of intellectually stimulating as well as emotionally stimulating. And so let's just really quickly talk about how the turnout last weekend was and any information that you have for that, because that was such a fascinating film. And then let's talk about the showing on Thursday.
Yes, absolutely. So Women Talking was a fantastic turnout. I had people coming into the theater said, I haven't been here since 2019, so it was great to see people coming back to the theater. And I thought that was a fantastic film for them to come back to for Women Talking. Just an incredible ensemble cast. It has been nominated for 2 Academy Awards, Best Picture and Best Adapted Screenplay. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it wins one of those, because it definitely deserves that. But thinking along the themes of Women Talking, we are partnering with the Peace House next week on Thursday, March 9th, to show a free screening of the film She Said. And this is a film that it's a narrative, but it's based on the best-selling novel, which is about the 2 New York Times journalists who broke the story of Harvey Weinstein and his history of sexual abuse and assault, and really, spoke truth to power, and in such an incredible way. I mean, the story is about Harvey Weinstein, of course, but it's about the brave women and men that stood up to him. And just these 2 journalists, what they sacrificed, what it took to really break the story, what it took for the women, the victims, to come forward, and the support that they needed, and all of the people behind them at the news desk to really support them and say, this story needs to be told, whatever it takes. let's get it out there. So that'll be a free screening. We'll have a post-film discussion with Lillian Alvera Ivron, who is the executive director of UCASA, and Margaret Olson, who's the Summit County attorney. And then we'll have Erin Albury, who's a Salt Lake Tribune journalist. She will be the moderator for the discussion. So we're really looking forward. It's always a pleasure and an honor to partner with Peace House, which is a domestic violence shelter here in Park City, and to talk about the programs that they provide for victims of domestic violence, but also the other support that they provide for women in our community who potentially might be victims of assault or concerned for their safety. So, really important conversation, and just following on the tails of Women Talking, which was so provocative. It's kind of comes full circle to, okay, what can we do now? What is going on in our community? And certainly the story of Harvey Weinstein is active right now in the news, and an important conversation to make sure that we don't lose sight of.
Which I think is such an amazing thing that you guys are doing, and what a great way to really show the support in and throughout our community. It's really important that we have these resources and we have these discussions, because it does give women their voice back, and that's the coolest part about the entire Harvey Weinstein story. Although it's devastating and we hate to see these things happen, it's great that women are receiving the opportunity to give their voices that little bit that they need to really just show what happened.
Absolutely. And to hopefully, that's part of the storyline and the hope, right? Is that by having a voice, by able to express what happened and expose people like Harvey Weinstein, that hopefully we can stop this from happening again, right? That the cycle can be broken, because he's not a lone actor, unfortunately, when it comes to sexual predation and assaults and just misdoings. But hopefully we can protect our daughters, our sisters, our friends, other women from being victims of the same type of situation. So, really important to keep the storyline, that conversation going, and give voice to the positive stories, the positive outcomes of a story like she said.
Katie, thank you so much for taking the time, giving us all this great information, and thank you for all the hard work you do here in our community. Not only do you give people the opportunity to be intellectually stimulated, emotionally stimulated, but you also give women a safe place to come and kind of be in that discussion that could save someone's life.
Absolutely. Well, it's a pleasure. And thanks for having me. But parkcityfilm.org, please check out the information, sign up for tickets, or just show up. We'd love to have you.
Make sure that you check out the films that they always have at Park City Film, because they are incredible. And like she said, you can go to parkcityfilm.org. That way you can see the entire lineup. And don't forget, they have the best popcorn bar in town. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we've got more of the show. So stay tuned.
My name's Devon, and I come from a line of pop artists that can be traced all the way back to Andy Warhol. I'm the guy that's kind of carrying the torch from that tradition into the 21st century. What inspires me is nostalgia, and just remembering anything from the past makes us feel good, warms our soul. And so I want to leverage familiarity with people. The artwork that I'm doing today is very, very similar to the way pop art started. I still fundamentally work in the principles of sourcing my content from pop culture. So there's photographs, and there's comics, and there's still advertising and mass media, that kind of a thing. But what I do is I add a few more layers than they did. As a result of being maybe 60 years on, there's a lot of things that have happened between now and then. And so I feel like I want to capture that too. And so I represent the time gap in different layers in my artwork, almost in the way that you would see layers in geology. Because there's different seasons and years that have passed. And so you can see little relics of the past. There's a lot of layers in our own psychology that I'm capturing as well. I'm trying to take a flashlight, if you will, and poke it through a tip of an iceberg. And let's call that pop culture. The landscape of pop culture is where I start with a little flashlight and illuminate some of the psychological layers below. I try to explore what it is about pop culture that is captivating our attention in the first place. There's this thing called the collective unconscious, so many people can relate to a lot of these things, and yet each of these people come away with maybe a little bit different interpretation, which is what I call the personal unconscious. So I put little story elements in there, and I'm always surprised at what other people take away as the meaning from it. Most songs and literature and art all kind of have this thread, in general, the hero's journey. A lot of these things bring comfort just in general to see because they've grown up with it or loved it, or they aspire to be that person, which is really what the hero's journey is about, is really we want to be the hero of our own lives. I want to be the hero in my story, don't you? And so if someone is inspired, I certainly am inspired in working with all of these different stories in this content. And if at the end of the day you're inspired by it, that's my goal, is the inspiration behind it. And I'm trying to make it fun. It's like I love switching it up. Some people think, oh, this is fresh and new. And then I'm like, but it isn't. And it is at the same time. It's like this, I'm still working in this tradition of artists from the past, and yet I'm putting a modern twist on it. But really, I'm just leveraging the past. And maybe through my body of work, you can sort of see, a wider scope of the whole thing. But really, the core is this hero's journey.
This resort report is brought to you by Sun & Ski Sports, your new mountain sports headquarters.
Thank you so much for tuning into your Friday edition of Wasatch Weekends. There's so many great things taking place in and around our community. The snow conditions are amazing. I hope to see you up on either Park City or Canyons Mountain, or even on Deer Valley, because it's such a beautiful place to go and enjoy. Now, I hope that you stay safe out there on those roadways. We'll see you tomorrow morning for your Saturday edition of Wasatch Weekends. I've been your host, Maddie Evans, and I'll see you tomorrow.